Hello and welcome to Scrappy Limb Sewing. I'm JC Dwellin, and it's been quite a while since I've put out a video, so I'm really glad to be back in my sewing room. And today I would like to share with you a template that I am falling in love with. It's called the Mini Dresdan. It's by Easy Quilting, and it makes the cutest little Dresdan plate. I will show you some samples. It's 2.5 inches tall, fits perfectly on a jelly roll if you wanted to use it for something other than scraps. I'm using mine to bust up my small scraps. And this is what they look like. They're 7 inches in diameter, thereabouts anyway, and they are just adorable. And like I say, I'm making mine out of scraps. Just small scraps I just don't want to throw away. And see this one here, this one even has a selvage on one of the wedges, but I'm going to cover that up so it won't matter. I'm not being real particular about the color placement. I'm just, grabbing whatever real quickly that looks good together and putting them together. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, fussing with the color because I'm just trying to bust up some of my miniature scraps. So anyway, that's what they look like. And then you put a center over the hole. To cover that up like that. And what I'm using for that is a freezer paper template. And to do that, you just make your circle using the freezer paper. Cut out your circle with the fabric. You pin it to your Dresdan plate and then stitch with a zigzag all the way around. And then you'll stitch this to a background block and just zigzag all the way around the edge there. Or you can put it onto a quilt top. And I will show you some that have the centers on them. They don't have to be quite this large. I wanted mine large on this one, on these, but this one's not as large, you can see. So they don't have to be quite this big, but I wanted these large. I'm going to make flowers with these. Then over here, I use them to make a butterfly. I use 4 wedges here in the background and then 3 wedges on the top of the butterfly wing. Then I use 2 wedges to make the body. I stitched the narrow end together, turned under the edges, and then I used floss for the antenna. Here I'm using one for a sun. I'm going to put this into a quilt block with the house and a couple of bushes, green trees, evergreens, and make that a sun. This will represent a sun. Here I am using it as a lion face for a child's quilt. And here I am using it like a peacock. And I think I'm going to add some out here to make the peacock's tail look really large. I feel like that's a little small. So I'm still going to add some to that, I think. And then here are some that I've just added to background blocks. They're all on a gray background block. And these I'm going to put into a quilt for a friend and my sister. So, to make them, all you need is your little template and a piece of fabric large enough to encompass the Dresden plate. So I'll just take a piece of scrap. This is 4 layers of fabric. I've been doing anywhere from 4 to 6 layers of fabric. And if it fits on there, I'm cutting the template out. I'm cutting the shape out. I'm using my small mat so I can turn it since it's such a small template. And then you get these shapes. 20 of these makes a Dresden plate. And to use them, I'm just collecting them, throwing them all in a bag, and then putting them together as I get time. But you would take the wedge, fold it right sides together, and you'll stitch a 1/4 inch seam along the wide edge of the template, of the fabric piece, the wide edge. Right sides together, 1/4 inch seam. And you end up with a piece that looks like this. And then I just snip that corner off. I just take my snips, snip that corner off there. I do that to reduce the bulk when you turn it. Then you just stick your thumb in here, your forefinger out here, and you turn it, pushing out the tip, the corner. Then I take something with that's slightly sharp, but that won't poke through. I use my snips a lot, and I push that point all the way out. You can also use a dull pencil, put in there, or you can use a chopstick. But you want to take something and push that point out, but don't push through the fabric. Then you will lay your seam to one side or the other and center this seam down the middle of the Dresden plate, the Dresden wedge, excuse me. And then you will press this. And once you've pressed it, you end up with a piece that looks like this. You take 2 of these, stitch them together with a 1/4 inch seam, making sure to line up these edges. You want right sides together. You want to line up your point, and the side that you're going to sew, you want that slope to match perfectly. And what I have found is once I've got them matched up, if I press that, they stay right in place when I stitch it together. And then you stitch down here 1/4 inch seam, making sure that this is straight, because if it's not straight, you'll get a little jog in there like this when you open it up, and you don't want that. It's okay if this edge doesn't match up perfectly because it's going to be covered up, but this up here is going to be seen. So you want that to be matched up as perfectly as you can get it, so you don't have a jog in the plate when it's completed, like that. And you end up with a piece that looks like this. Then I take and I make 10 sets of 2, just like this. That gives you your 20 wedges for your Dresden plate. And I take 2 of these, stitch them together. I end up with 5 sets of 4. And then I stitch the sets of 4 together. And when you end up with your last one, you just stitch it to one end and then flip it open, flip the other sides together, the other right sides together, and stitch that other end. And you end up with your Dresden plate. Like that. So when I'm done with that last 4, I'll stitch this side, and then when that's together, I'll stitch this side. Just like that. Here's one of the sets of 4. So you end up with sets of 4, 5 sets of 4. You stitch those together to get your circle. And it's just that simple. So over here, I'm going to show you a baby quilt that I'm making on my wall over here. And this is another way that I'm using them. Sorry, Champy. That's my dog. I just walked on him. So that's going to be real cute once it's quilted. And they all have the same center. The plates are all different, but the centers are all the same. So anyway, that's how I'm using my Dresdan plates. And one more thing I'm doing with the wedges is, if I've got a video called Scrappy Case. If you take a look at that one, it uses scrappy mats to make appliques. And these wedges are perfect for the scrappy mats. All I do is just flip them. I put them on my background and my stitch witchery. And I just flip them up and down. Just overlapping them just a hair. Like that. Press it down. Then I'm going to quilt over top of it in a decorative stitch. And then cut out appliques. But I have found that it's perfect for those. So I'm going to love that too. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that you will do something creative with it. Again, my name is J.C. Joellen. This is Scrappy Loom Sewing. And I hope to see you on my next video. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the thumbs up. God bless you. Bye-bye.